And joining me now to talk about this Sunday's rivalry match between Magnolia and Ginebra is a former Gin King, a four-time PBA champion, Vince The Prince Hizon. I've been wanting to say that all my life, ever since watching you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Sports Desk, sir.
It's an honor and a pleasure. It's my first time.
Maraming salamat. And you accepted our invitation. Finally, I have you on the show.
Laker fans stick together.
We'll get to the Lakers later on. A lot to talk about. But you got to... Let's talk about this rivalry, which has been going on for so many years, even decades in the PBA. Magnolia and Ginebra, dati Pure Foods. Ginebra, nag-iba ng pangalan, pero lagi nandun yung rivalry. And you got to relive this rivalry on the PBA Legends game last month, di ba?
Yeah, Return of the Rivals. It was about 3 weeks ago, yata?
Yeah.
About a month ago.
Yeah.
About a month.
Let's talk about how this rivalry is and what makes it so special and why the Filipino basketball fans really this rivalry means something significant to them.
Yeah, well, definitely started many, many years ago. In fact, decades, like you were saying. When you have the two, I think, icons of the PBA at the time, Coach Senator Jaworski and Alvin, two big personalities coming together, and the teams, the history behind it, starting with, the Ayalas, and then it went over to the SMC group, and then, of course, Ginebra being Ginebra, it was a definite clash, and both teams definitely went for the throat every time, and sometimes no love lost.
Even when you were playing, talagang grabe yung rivalry ng time na yun.
Yeah, it was.
I remember you, Ginebra, Gordon's Gin, talagang ano mo?
Our biggest rivals, I would have to say, during that time were, Pure Foods and Alaska. During that time, those two teams, there was just something about those games. A little more on the line, I guess. Yeah.
Let's talk about on the line. A lot on the line this Sunday's matchup. Ginebra is 4-3. Magnolia's 3-4. The team standings. They're right next to each other. It's one of those games that could really determine, the place of these teams as they secure a spot in the quarterfinals. Let's talk about the hot shots first, Vince. How should they approach this match against your former team, Barangay Ginebra?
Well, they're gonna have to do exactly what they've been doing, and I think very effectively, which is get their guards involved, because you can't really compete against the height of Ginebra. I mean, they got a 7-footer and a 6'10" guy, very athletic as well. So you're going to have to, neutralize all of that by really spreading them out a bit. That's when little guys who make you have the biggest headaches, like Halalon and Baroka, come to the fore. Pauli, Grabe. When they get going, they're really difficult. That's why, every team has fits. Even though, for me, if you look at Pure Foods on paper, not that impressive in terms of, their height and their huge roster. Even with Ping around, I mean, which he hasn't been around lately, but, because of his injury recovery. But their guards are what makes them very strong. So that's where they're going to have to really excel. And, of course, I think they have the Coach of the Year in Coach Chito Victorero.
That's right.
They're very well coached, and I think they're going to have a good chance.
All right. Gio Halalon was here yesterday, Vince. I had a one-on-one with him. He said about talking about bringing back the team's defense. Yun daw yung kailangan. Kaya medyo they struggled early on in this conference. What else for Magnolia? You did mention they should maximize the guards that they have. Those are their assets. But what else should they do to beat Ginebra defensively, let's say, also?
Just make it very difficult for them to get the ball up the court, because once Ginebra is established and their big men are in the block and they're posting up deep, they're tough to stop. You can't really stop them.
Slaughter, Aguilar.
If they don't get their first shot made, they're going to get the offensive rebound. So that's the tough part for them. Just really make it difficult for guys like LA, who's on the brink of history, and
ironically beating Pure Foods Legends record.
Exactly. And then the Mercado and all the other guys, make it difficult for them to bring the ball up the court. Really slow them down so they go deep into their shot clock.
Who is your X factor? Who do you see as the X factor here for Magnolia?
Hey, it's probably Pauli, as usual, because Pauli for me is the barometer of so many things on that team. When he gets hot, everybody just rallies behind him, and even when he's not, they still sort of run their offense through him. He's one of those guys, even, scoring or not scoring, he's still a factor because, he's still a point guard. He shoots a lot, but he's still a point guard in my mind. So he can handle the rock. He sees the floor. He
can get everybody involved.
The ball to the right people at the right time, which is important.
It's been an up and down conference for your former team, Barangay Ginebra, Vince.
Actually, on paper, for both teams, even perfect.
Yeah, that's right. But this team, is solid in every conference. When you look at their lineup, they're stacked in all positions.
Yes.
They're loaded. Now that they're taking on a red-hot Magnolia team who's been winning games, how should Ginebra approach this match against Magnolia?
Well, for me, again, it's all Coach Tim's call, of course. He's very able. We think, yeah, he knows what he's doing. Definitely.
He's got everything under control.
But, he's going to just have, I'm sure he'll just go back to his old reliables. That's what he's always done. He's got a very intact, very strong lineup, like you said, in all positions. Yeah. Very tall, very capable of, really making the right decisions. And if they're on their A game, they can give it to anybody, and it doesn't matter if it's the top team or any other team.
When you get to watch them, Vince, why do you think medyo nahihirapan sila? Why can't they just win every single game? I mean, I know it's unfair for them because they expect that much, but this team has won championships. This team has probably the best, the greatest coach in the PBA. They have a great lineup. So why sometimes nahihirapan pa rin ang Ginebra?
Every team goes through struggles, and it can be an injury here or there. It could be some guy is just not feeling well. It could be off the court problem. It could be so many different things. But if I'm not mistaken, I'm sure this team is going to be one of those that peaks late, which is always better. Teams that peak late are the ones that go really deep or win championships into the finals, and teams that peak early just sort of fizz out and don't even make the playoffs, as we're going to talk about that later too. So it's just one of those things. They're a veteran team. They know what it takes to win championships. Like you said, they've won. So they're going to have to, really sort of start ramping up their game. And I think this will be a big test on Sunday.
Lastly, before we talk about La La Land, like Magnolia Ginebra has a lot of superstars. Who for you is the X factor here?
For Ginebra, I mean, it could be so many. I mean, anybody can step up on any given day. LA, you could say a Scotty. I mean, you can go down the line.
For the Sunday, against Magnolia.
I'll say either LA, because it's something on the line, or Scotty with his energy.
Okay.
When Scotty's on, he can rebound better than definitely most guards. Sometimes even better than most power forwards. So, when he's doing his thing, he just brings so much energy to the game. So both of those guys.